time?
Yes.
It's that time over there. Vivo!
Hey.
Are you ready? I was born ready.
Obviously, you're a little, aggravated by the line of questioning regarding Canelo.
I don't want to touch this, dirty, so bad, I don't want to touch his name.
I'm working on feeling the art of humbleness. Can you be with me? That's the reason why I'm crying, because I'm not that person anymore. And I miss him. But sometimes I feel like a bitch. I don't want that person to come out, because when he comes out, hell is coming with him. And it's not funny at all. It must sound cool, like I'm a tough guy. It's just I hate that I'm scared.
It would be awesome to, being a great war, maybe with a Mexican.
Let's go! Way pop!
I have to put the joke.
No, hey, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate you.
Good timing, man.
Can't put predictions, man, but I definitely don't want to leave it to the judges.
Domingo, Sunday of Recap, ladies and gentlemen. Aquí, como siempre, los tres locos amigos. Manny, siempre en vivo. Marrero.
Sean El Gringo Hicksa.
Hopper. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are Long League Boxing and EnVivo podcast. Breaking it down like it is, like it should be. That's right. We've been out for quite some time, but it doesn't matter. Is the comeback what really matters in this case. Right. And we got a lot to talk about in this Sunday recap. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Those of you who are listening to archive or anywhere you upload your favorite podcast, that's where you can find us. Sean, man, what's happening, bro?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So a lot of things have been happening in the world of boxing, good, bad, and different. Here we are to talk about it. Your brothers from another mother making it happen, sticking that stiff jab in your mouth. Here we go. So a lot of people are excited because as boxing fans, we're a thirsty fan base, and we appreciate even the potential of a fight that may never happen. But you know what? We're going to talk about if that is what we're looking at, what comes to fruition, what if it does, what if it doesn't, and how it impacts boxing going forward. So that means we're going to hear from...
I want peace. I want problems, always.
I want all the problems, bros. I want all the smoke. Let's get it, baby. WBC, they're wrapping up the convention, the annual convention that they have every year. And every year, how does the saying go? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 20 sometimes. Damn, bro, why you fooling me like that? I may have butchered the cliche statement, but
I like your version better.
But we got it. We got your point.
More or less something like that. They do this every year. They order these fights. Everybody gets all excited. Oh my goodness! Did you see the fights that WBC mandated at the convention? These are the ones they mandated this year. Okay. Deontay Wilder versus Andy Reese, Spence Thurman, Benavidez Plant, Shakur versus Pitbull, Teofimo and Sandor Martin, Sebastian Fundora versus Tony Harrison, and Stephen Fulton versus Brandon Figueroa too. Now there's a common theme going in all those fights, and we'll get to that later. But I wanted to bring up, Gringo, what are the chances a lot of these fights actually get done? Because the WBC doesn't have I don't think they have a very good track record with actually enforcing these fights that they're mandating or ordering to happen. Let's just, for shits and giggles, let's just go back and take a look at some of the fights they ordered last year.
Okay.
I think we have those. Let's start with the heavyweight division. They ordered Tyson Fury. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they ordered him after the conclusion of his fight against Deontay Wilder. The winner of that fight would have 30 days. The heavyweight.
Oh, yeah.
The heavyweight, the Tyson Fury one. They ordered Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. The winner of that fight would have 30 days to negotiate a period with Usyk. And I think they mandated that one. They ordered that one last year at the convention.
Right.
Did that happen though?
No, it did not. That one did not.
0 for 1.
0 for 1.
0 for 1. So that's
all right. Next, let's go to the middleweights. It's a popular fighter there by the name of Jamal Charlo. They ordered a final eliminator between Jaime Munguia and Sergey Derevchenko. That didn't happen. So the final ruling is to have Munguia fight the winner of Derevyanchenko versus Carlos Adames. Derevyanchenko did not fight Carlos Adames either. So Jamar Charlo didn't fight any of those guys. He ended up fighting Montiel, and he went life and death with Montiel and struggled for a victory. So yeah, 0-2 WBC. That fight didn't happen as well. Next, let's go to our boy here from Dallas, the welterweight division, Earl Spence. What did they order him to do last year? A final elimination fight between Virgil Ortiz and David Avansanya was ordered. Did that happen? I don't think so. No. So, yeah, as far as Spence, that's where we're at. That's where they went. He was cleared. He was coming back off that retina surgery. They wanted Virgil Ortiz to fight David Avansanya. He's not fighting him. That didn't happen. Terrence Crawford is now fighting David Avansanya, as we now know. And then the last one that we want to touch on is why not? Let's bring him up. He's always mentioned for good or bad. Canelo.
Canelo.
He was this was that whole Macabu deal and they actually agreed to it. The WBC let Canelo and manager Eddie Reynoso pretty much call the shots and saying they wanted Macabu in the cruiserweight division, and they approved it. There was an agreement for a defense of the WBC World Cruiserweight Champion involving Macabu. Did that happen? No.
Negative.
So, so the WBC has a lot of these fights that they order and everybody gets all excited, but it's the same song and smoke and mirrors, same dance tune. They hype everybody up only to bring them down. I mean, and then people never call them out on their BS, but you know how we do it here at Long Live Boxing. We keep it real.
No, definitely. That's what we do. Thank you, Canelo, for having our back. But that's the thing, because, like I said, we're so craved for boxing. We're so thirsty for good quality fights. So when they're announced, even though the source is like it's not questioned, is crazy. And I know a lot of people that I respect and love to watch them. They were again excited, and I was excited too. But then I took a step back. The WBC does not enforce anything. Now, that being said, you did recently write, and a shout out to you on longliveboxing.com. Check it out, the article where they actually did enforce a fight. That's going to be fantastic. But out of all the other examples, I'm actually going with that. That number shows that the possibility of these fights happening, and that situation was totally different. As far as like the weight division, the fighters that are involved. What are your thoughts on the difference between that fight? And I'm talking about Regis Prograis versus Jose Chon Zapata versus the other fights that we were talking about. Is it the names, the divisions, kind of a combination, the options the fighters have?
Yeah, and good question. Good points, Gringo. If you look at the fights that are ordered or that fights that were ordered, there's a common theme among all those fights that are ordered. And the common theme of that is, Gringo, if you want to put that picture back up there, where of the fights that they ordered this year.
Yes.
Yeah, so all those fights that they ordered, look at those. You got Wilder versus Reese, Spence Thurman, Benavidez Plant, Stevenson Cruz, Lopez, Fedora Harrison, Fulton, Brandon Figueroa, too. Out of those fights, 6 of them are affiliated with the PBC. 7 of those fights include a PBC fighter. So, I mean, you put 1 and 1 together, we can kind of tell what organization, what promotional company the WBC seems to be leaning towards. Because the 6 of those fights are just pure PBC fighters, and then the Pitbull Cruz and Shakur Stevenson, one of those fighters is Pitbull Cruz, is affiliated with the PBC. Now, do you think the Shakur Stevenson and Pitbull Cruz fight has any chance of happening?
No.
Hell no. That fight is 0 chance of happening. The other fights, they will happen. I think there's probably a decent shot that some of them happen, just because they're affiliated with the PBC.
Yeah, so I think, and that's fair. So the possibility, for one, the Sebastian Fundora versus Tony Harrison. That the one is probably the least talked about, is probably the one that most likely could happen. Would you say that as far as name recognition, as far as scope, as far as boxing fans, you put that on the same level of fan interest, or maybe even a little lower tier?
I think maybe I definitely put it some in the same level as the fan interest, but I think, hey, maybe the PBC is learning from past mistakes. Now they're actually mandated some fights that actually had a decent shot of making. Like they and then they threw out that Shakur Stevenson, Pitbull Cruz to get people's imaginations running wild. But I mean, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. The point of this whole segment was to not get your hopes up too high, because the WBC always does this. They order all these fights, and nothing ever happens. Like none of the fights they order actually get done. So that's the whole point: is tread carefully, be cautiously optimistic about some of these fights that they've mandated. And I'll go one step further, Gringo, to conspiracy if you like.
What? Hold
yeah,
up.
A little conspiracy.
Get your tin hats ready, buddy.
It's a conspiracy theory. One of the fights that they mandated was Earl Spence versus Keith Thurman. Now, I think that the powers to be at the PBC never had any intention of giving us the Spence versus Crawford fight. I think, and this is a conspiracy, I have no sources backing this up or anything.
None.
But the writing's on the wall. The PBC probably looks like they wanted to keep the money in-house with Spence versus Thurman before sending Spence to fight Crawford. And honestly, in my opinion, it kind of looks like they weren't too confident with Spence on beating Crawford. Because if you think he's beating, if you think your guy is capable of beating someone, or very confident he's going to beat him, you're going to send him to the wood. You're going to make that fight. But that's just telling to me they didn't think Spence could probably beat Crawford, so they want the Spence versus Thurman fight to happen first, and then they'll come around for the Spence Crawford fight sometime next year. And that's just a conspiracy, a Hopper conspiracy theory. Hey, if it makes sense to you, rock it. If not, hey, call me a pendejo.
Where I'm coming from, because it's mind-boggling to you, yeah.
I was pendejo. Pendejo.
Wow.
Conspiracy theory.
Hey, we don't need name calling, man. It's a family show. Your family is broken home. All right, so we got some comments here. HLD, what's up?
In the house.
Hey, buen dia, brother. Chicano Prophet in the house. El Chile in the house, man. Love it. Right when he came on, we talked about Canelo. How poetic. So shout out to HLD. The only mandated fights that have serious enforcement consequences, if not are made champions or title holders, are won. The rest are put the fighters in position for championship fights if they want. That's a good point.
That's a good point, HLD.
Very good.
Definitely. Yeah. And he's laughing. And then he's saying Crawford
duck.
Oh man, I'd like to get your thoughts on that and expand on that. Why are you saying that? Nothing wrong with that, and we love you for that. So Chicano Prophet says, damn. All right. So what Hopper said adds up, if you ask me. So
hey, it's a conspiracy.
I'm just really
throwing stuff out there, man.
They're just throwing bullets out there to see what they can land. And the bottom line is you got now organizations sticking their noses trying to arrange certain fights that not going to make sense. And if you look at the future, what the future holds in some of these fights that they are trying to accommodate from a fan perspective, it has no implications or anything that we want to be able to, promote or watch. And I'm gonna take an example. For instance, Wilder and Ruiz. Okay, so what you're trying to say, what Hopper is saying, it makes a lot of sense. So what you're trying to say is we got the PBC behind and also WBC trying to arrange something because the winner may fight who? The WBC champion for the heavyweights. Who is that? So are we trying to push Wilder Fury 5? Is it indirectly getting into our brains right now and not really acknowledging that? Do we really want to see a fourth beating? I mean, if you ask me, I got 3-0. Nothing to take away from Wilder, but just a half of a round on a comeback, and now he is entitled to fight for an eliminator, to go back at it on someone that no one really wants to see a fourth fight. It just makes no sense. And then you got the scraps. Crawford.
Scraps.
Yeah. I mean, Crawford and Spence didn't happen. Well, guess what? Get back down again with the PBC and let's bring in the one-time Keith Thurman. Someone's been trying to, move up just because he came back after 3 years of not fighting. He took
one time for a reason. I lost one time.
One time. He said, ballooned up. Mario Barrios gets to beat him, and now he has that legitimate chance to contend for a world title. I mean,
crazy, right?
So these are some of the little small things that when I look into not only the promoters, but also as well the organizations sticking their nose where they don't belong. And at the end of the day, who is in charge of your own career? Technically, should be the boxer. But the reality is your sole business, which is your boxing career. I think they're handing it out to too many people, and that's hurting the actual career of an individual. So for me, of organizations sticking their nose and mandating fights that makes no sense because it's not bringing anything positive into the future, I'm like, man, from that list that you actually mentioned, the only one that I might feel a little bit interest might be instead Fulton and Brandon Figueroa too, because of what happened on the previous fight.
Yep.
But the reality is disrespecting other fighters, and I'm gonna go to my last little ranting on this shit. Disrespecting fights that already been made, and you're mandating fights after that, and you still haven't seen the fight. And I'm speaking about Teofimo Lopez and Sniper Pedraza. That fight's about to happen December 10th. And you're telling me that without that fight being happened, you're already mandating Teofimo to fight Sandor Martin? What about if Teo loses? I mean, I get it. Pedraza is down the slope. He's just trying to catch out as much as possible. Teofimo is the big hype, the 135, supposedly undisputed, go to 140. And what's the problem with that? Let these guys fight. Let them finish the fight and then start arranging things or suggesting. I think that the organization needs to just suggest, not mandate this kind of crap, unless you legitimately see a champion that is actually avoiding people around and doesn't want to fight anyone. Then I agree for them to stick their nose into it. But in the meantime, man, stop disrespecting some of these guys that are still have an opportunity, because you never know. I'd love to see the world being shot. It's going to be difficult for Pedraza, but man, if I was Pedraza and the other thing, it's like, man, all the things that I've accomplished, it's nothing because an organization says, oh, I'm mandating this fight and I still haven't fought. You know, that's just crap and BS.
No, definitely.
But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
Winners win, and us as fight fans, we want to see those champions get their opportunity for sure. But you said a key thing, my brother, business. Ultimately, irregardless if the fight happens the fourth, fifth time, it's one of the more profitable fights. It's crazy it is. And like something that stands out to me is Bill Haney said that fighters, it's always kind of the mindset that these fees from these sanctioning bodies are paid by the fighter. Yes and no. It's actually negotiated by the fighters and the fights that are made, that the promoter and promotion companies that help support it, like the endorsements from Hennessy and things like that. So basically they're looking for the most profitable fights. So when I look at that list, yeah, granted, like they're not all the most profitable, but based off the situation, they're looking for the most safe, the most profitable to get their fighters' name out there, but not putting a big risk, but have enough interest where people will want to get it. And that's the name of the game, the balance.
But if it doesn't make sense for your career, Sean, you're the boxer, you're the owner of the career. It doesn't make sense with you, right? And you struggle so much to finally get a title shot. You win the title. You want unification. You want undisputed status. That's what probably going to make you the big bucks when you have a second, third title undisputed. And now you got to fight a mandatory, which if it was a mandatory that has work is behind and is a big profile individual, you know, like a Virgil Ortiz, like a Boots Enos, why do you don't mandate those fights? Why?
They're not as profitable.
Oh, but you got to go Teofimo against Sandor Martin. I mean, great job, Benavidez and Plant. That had to happen.
That's a great fight.
I don't want to see a Canelo Plant too.
That had to happen.
Benavidez and Caleb Plant, that had to happen at 168 to actually finally see Benavidez if he belongs, you know, in the ring with Canelo.
Yeah, let me get
that had to.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's the only good thing that happened behind. That's the only good thing that happened with the whole Spence Crawford fight not being able to negotiate it to get done was they threw us Caleb Plant and David Benavidez. They had to throw us the outrage, that the backlash that the PBC and everybody was getting. And I'm still not done. You know, I'm still not done talking about Spence versus Crawford, but we can touch on that some other time. Man, I'm just you know, kind of got me a little bit down the fact that it wasn't finalized.
No, definitely. And you know,
we knew it was.
We've
money,
just been
bro.
gone from the.
We knew it was money. We knew it was money, and we're gonna get a nonsense fight, and he's gonna make $10 million just on that crappy fight. If I was Crawford, heck yeah, I'm gonna take that fight because it's a fight with no risk and a lot of reward. I mean, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but we all know,
I think,
right?
Yeah.
Apparently. And that makes sense.
We'll say low.
Yeah, bro. And I mean, do you guys want to chop it up about that for a little bit? We ain't been on in a minute.
One thing
we're on the bullshit boxing this weekend.
One thing I did want to say, I mean, because we brought his name up several times, and actually Chicano Prophet's in the chat. So I would like the perspective of everyone in HLD's got a great perspective on boxing as well. So let me get to these comments real quick. And what I want to ask is, I think we're kind of dancing around the real pink elephant in the room, the real egregious thing I think the WBC has done, which we're not talking about yet. So let me get to that in a moment. And the reason why they did it, which is clearly about business. So Canelo has his 2 years worth of fights lined up before they even happen. It's business. Absolutely agree to that. Crawford choosing an easy payday versus the legacy is a duck. For a man who says he's financially sound and only fights for the love of the sport, his actions speak louder than words. AK Barrick interview.
What? That makes no sense at all, bro. I'm sorry, HOD, but and we're from Dallas. We're Spence homers. I mean, he's from here. He's the hometown boy. But if you take a look at the fact of what everything's being reported out there in the negotiations, if you take that for face value, as far as what was being offered to Crawford, 0% guarantee, 35% pay-per-view split without transparency to take a look at all the expenses. Come on, man. That's a BS deal. I don't care who it is. Nobody's going to take that deal. And then you look at what some of the other guys got. Mikey Garcia, $3 million guaranteed, 50% pay-per-view split. Sean Porter, $2 million, 40%. Danny Garcia, $5 million, 40% pay-per-view split. Ugas got $1 million, 40% pay-per-view split. But they want to give Crawford 0? Come on, man. That makes no damn sense.
Well, the reason why it makes sense from the business standpoint, because they realized that there was no more profitable fight for Crawford. There was a fight where he had no leverage. He had no machine behind him. His name isn't, a casually known as far as the boxing realm. Like only pretty much hardcores know his name. And even at this point, people are even questioning his opponents that are in boxing.
Robert, what about David Avanesian against Crawford? Who the fuck is David Avanesian? You know him.
No, he doesn't.
You know him. You're supposed to fight Virgil. The Armenian, Russian.
To know who that is?
Hey, and
I mean,
that's that. Hey, real quick, that's all I want to say is like, I get there's passion on both sides, but for me, at the end of the day, it's the results. Like it looks like EJ's lined up. He's going to fight, one time, lost one time, once upon a time.
We're forcing him to fight because he said that
he didn't want to. He came out and said
he hates
and it's PBC, so they're going to do it.
So then you have Crawford, to your point, what you said, Hopper, and also to our brother HLD, he had other options, but he's taking a safe route too, to be honest.
Yeah, he had Boots and he had Virgil there. But so Crawford's not completely cleaned of sin from here. They're both ultimately responsible for
this.
Guys, that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. Crawford and Spence, I don't give a damn about who's the A side, B side. No, the fact that they didn't get done, it's both their fault.
It's about
and then the sad thing about it is that Crawford fans and Spence fans want to put their head in the sand and still defend their guy without taking a step back and being objective and saying, hey, maybe my guy's at fault, because guess what? He is at fault.
Well, here's the thing. I think that was already cooking in the oven. Okay. And when you have an opportunity to fight someone, no big name, and you still making $10 million plus, and then you have a big major fight in where you're not getting any guarantee, or things are very skeptic or fishy and you don't feel comfortable with it, what are you going to do at his age? Am I gonna please the people to fight a high caliber level opponent with no money, or am I gonna go out there and start making the money that I think I deserve? And I'm speaking in Crawford's words. So we can't bash him for that. I think ultimately what we had to do, and he had to have the Haney mentality, which he was not going to have it. Whatever it is, I'm going to make it happen. Australia, I'm going to go. Rematch, I'm going to go. Crawford ain't going to do that shit. He wasn't entitled for that. So when you have already a backup plan and you have people who are backing you up, you can't even say their company correctly when you come out and speak to the world. But when you have someone and they're backing you up with millions of dollars, what are you going to do? That's your answer then. But unfortunately, the guys that are messed up right now are the actual fans that are going to be sucked into buying a pay-per-view that I don't think it's going to make anything.
Yeah.
How many people do you expect to be in the Crawford fight in Nebraska? Think about it. How many pay-per-views?
Well,
I would love to see the streaming numbers on this.
Somebody posted online. I was shocked. Like they have floor seats in the 300s to see Crawford in Omaha. Man,
I think isn't he fighting like at a medical center or something like that, like a clinic or something?
But on the same time, who's fighting a better opponent now and making also good money? Now you're going to think about Spence saying, okay, I'm fighting one time, one loss, whatever.
And then
Keith Thurman washed out. But I believe that Keith Thurman, if you take Vanessa or I can't remember saying his name, and Keith Thurman, who do you think it wins? I think Keith Thurman has the edge on this one, right? So there's a much better opponent. And when you look at the whole picture right now, who's looking like a jackass, right? Because of the opponent, it might be Crawford, but no. He is the freaking winner of this because he's making 10 plus million.
Report it, yeah. And one last thing that I'll say about this, man. I don't necessarily. I see I've been seeing a lot of this in the group messages. Again, Terrence Crawford fanboys, Earl Spence fanboys, they're so dug into whatever they believe. It's impossible to speak with them objectively to get. You can't have any dialogue with them because ultimately, and this is what I want to say about that. I don't believe Spence is afraid of Crawford. I don't think Crawford is afraid of Spence.
Neither.
I think that ultimately what prevented this fight happening is Al Heyman and the PBC, money, keeping the house in. Just because Terrence Crawford left Top Rank doesn't mean he's PBC. Like he wasn't they didn't promote his career on the come up. So I think that's why maybe, I don't know, I'm putting words in. Gringo, you're now Heyman whisperer. Right. I don't think they felt he's PBC and they still didn't want to break the bank or split.
No, like I said,
an outsider.
It goes back to when I made the comments of rest in peace to Dickie Cole when he said that Don King making a coalition there, he had to have pieces of both fighters. So Crawford didn't want to sell his soul as so many fighters with the PBC have, and so since he wasn't able to come to a deal, they wanted to make the deal so unreasonable that it forced him to do what he did. Yeah, but like again, what I'll say is real quick, and just from the standpoint of fan, that's why you got to take a step back. Is like for both fighters, from the fan perspective, I know some people, which that makes me sad, still think the Keith Thurman fight is a good fight. It's not, but it's still
it's better than anything else. I mean, you want a mandatory? Why don't they mandate the number one?
See, that's where
WBC isn't it Virgil?
That's why I respectfully disagree. It's not better than anything else. It's not better than anything else. So Virgil Ortiz would be a better fight, Cowboys.
I know, but it's not going to happen. You're not going to give a chance to youngsters. You're not. And you're not going to make as much money as you're probably going to make if you do a Crawford kind of thing. But if you're going to move on, like apparently Crawford did, and now Spence is finding himself that I got to find an opponent, scratch my head, who can I at least legitimately beat or be someone that it's not going to really hurt me? Not only youngsters, guys, which one of them disappeared. A bullshit, Connor, Ben. That's his fault. But you still have two of them. You still have Virgil Ortiz, Bootsinas, and as a matter of fact, Rocha. Rocha has taken up Connor Ben's spot at the 147. Do you see what I'm saying? You have people to fight against. That's going to make it very interesting for the fans to pay the money that you're going to be asking for that pay-per-view. That's my point. We're all going to get sucked into that. And we're all going to see that one time. Can one time make it happen and Spence show the world? Is it really going to happen afterwards? That's the saga. That's the novela. It's going to keep dragging and dragging and dragging because you know what? The ego is going to be higher. I fought a much better opponent than you did. You went over there with BLK. They gave you 10 million for a no-name and an opponent, and now you want more because this fight, it's going to continue to drag himself to the point it's going to get fans frustrated and going to go nuts. This is why I'm not paying any more attention to this crap until it's finalized and dealed. That's
you're never going to pay attention to it because it's never going to happen. Like they showed, it's never.
Move on. Then let's freaking move on, man. Now, okay. Lastly, if we're going to move on from this, why don't these organizations now start mandating these fights? Not Spence, not anything. Bootsine is trying to get the IBF to do it, right? To mandate a mandatory fight against
bro. It goes back to and it goes back to the theme of our segment.
Well, let's get these guys going on. Why are we holding back? You got to step in when you need to. And sometimes organizations are stepping in when you don't belong in stepping in there. So you got to take a step back and realize, when should I step in? In 147, they need at least some of the organization to step in or relinquish the title. Bottom line.
One last thing about this, guys, and I want to dive a little deeper, and I promise I won't talk about this anymore. But this is why boxing is losing, man, to the UFC, because of stuff like this, because of the inability to make some of the fights. Spence Crawford didn't get done. Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis, that's not gonna happen. This is why boxing is losing to the UFC. You take a look at the UFC, like they get fights done. Last night, Israel Adesanya fought Pereira. And that was a big fight. 3 weeks ago, Khabib's protege, he fought Charles Oliveira. That was 2 top 5 pound for pound fighters fighting. They get the fights done. The fight was over. He called out the number 1 pound for pound fighter, and it's gonna get done. So I think boxing fans, they need this is what's hurting the boxing. This is what hurts the most, is that the fights don't get done, and then we're pretty much lapped, bro. The UFC is they've crossed over the mainstream.
And then we got the bullshit. Again, we got the BS of protecting fighters and building up cards. We'll talk about it a little bit, but that just adds more, more gas to the fire, and the protection, the sucking in the fans. And I tell you what, yesterday, I'm glad you touched base on that, because last night for 10 seconds, I thought in my mind, is like, can you imagine if there's a big, massive movement around the world to boycott boxing, to show these people that who are the ones who pay these pay-per-views? You gotta stop the nonsense. Can you just for 10 seconds? I'm like, wow, can you imagine? It ain't gonna happen, but can you imagine seeing these numbers down? And I will feel very sad and bad about it, because you got people who are great athletes, who commit, who working their asses off to try to get an opportunity and be ranked. But can you imagine to show these people who's really the boss? Man, for some reason I had a dream, but all of a sudden kind of
that's never gonna happen. Reason why, because
it happen, but anyway.
Just like you look at domestically, and we got to think globally. Like, boxing is global, and especially like in the UK and Europe and other East European countries,
Philippines, Mexico, Puerto Rico. Yeah, boxing's big. That's
it's
sure.
big. It never happened, but I just thought about it
here in the States.
Yeah, so let me get these comments real quick, and then we'll move on. So thank you for your comments, guys, and tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Tommy Rush Jr.
Tommy.
And Spence claims he also didn't have any guarantee money, which is ridiculous to believe. All those fights before with guarantees, and now all of a sudden the PBC star didn't get guaranteed money. Come on.
That's a man right there that's thinking with his head and not with his emotion. I know, and he's from the Dallas area. Tommy Rush, shout out to you, bro. Sometimes you just got to step back. Take a step back and take a look at everything for what it's worth, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes it is your favorite fighter's fault.
Yeah, definitely.
You gotta be objective. That's the whole part of it. And you gotta look at both perspectives and see, okay, let me make my final decision. And it has to be objective. You can't just think about, because I'm a fan of one local for Dallas.
I bash Canelo all the time.
Yeah, we're about to do some of that right now, actually. So Chicano Prophet, True Crawford isn't getting any younger. True. Yep. Laughing emoji. Here we come. Tommy Rush Jr. Will they really be able to give them the $10 million? Is
that's probably my thinking of that $10 million whole deal. It's probably $10 million if these incentives are met. Like if you get 1 million pay-per-view buys, we're gonna give you $10 million.
Man.
So maybe it's just a fancy. It's like the NFL contracts. We're gonna sign you for 5 years, $200 million. But we're gonna cut you.
Isn't it a guarantee?
So it's not guaranteed.
Is it a guarantee on that?
It's just the way they word it. I think. I don't know. I haven't seen the contract, but it's just my opinion.
I mean, to be ballooning up and jumping up and down, it has to be.
Right.
It has to be.
It's probably filled with so many incentives. Like,
no, definitely. So yeah, that's the thing. Like a lot of times when they say the money, but when you break it down, like how it's allocated, it goes to the sanctioning fees, it goes to their team, it goes to the coverage of being there. So it's not, they don't get that full amount of money. That's why there was such a big deal, like taking the wall away from when Teofimo was negotiating with Loma, because he was saying like, yeah, I get $1 million. That's the most I ever made, but I'm not getting $1 million. I need $2 million, because after I pay everybody, I'm only going to get like a quarter of that $1 million. So anyway,
and he got it.
He got it. He got it. Good point.
The Thurman fight sucks. That's what is angry. I heard Spence was interested in going to Dubai. Me too.
There's money. That's where the money's at. Everyone wants to go over there.
Everybody wants to go there and fight Mayweather.
Crawford
on a helipad
tonight. Are you buying that pay-per-view tonight?
Is going to showcase his skills in front of maybe 25K pay-per-views versus who? next to
farmer's market.
Total
Heck
disservice
yeah.
to all of boxing. Wow, now he's speaking like a Spence fan aficionado right there. So
farmers market.
He's got a
Farmers
point,
market,
but you got to
man.
look at both sides.
No,
And I think both guys both guys are on the verge of like, you know what, you all are seeking and wanting or demanding way too much, and nothing's gonna please any of you guys to finalize and sign that.
Well, yeah,
There's always gonna be that little beats and pieces of of literally, it's like cuando tú pelas un huevo and then you still have those little crunchy, eggshells and you see what I'm saying? It's always gonna be nasty and shit, and that's why I'm giving it up to that, bro.
I mean, breakfast.
A Gringo le gusta pelar los huevos.
Míralo. Vivo.
All right, so here's the thing.
Pupusas.
Just whoa.
Did you see that stop? He's like break. Whoa.
No, but seriously, one thing I did want to say is, and I believe that's where HLD is coming from. You can't say the word legacy and then have you come up with a fight which is going to be pay-per-view against a guy that Robert Garcia doesn't even know who he is. That's all I'm saying. So like money, legacy,
But okay, on the cool though, a lot of these guys in boxing who they like to play the who is that, bro? You know damn well who the hell he is. If I know who he is, you know who he is. But they like to play that whole think they're cute. Oh, who's that? Who's he fighting, bro?
No, I hear you. I hear you.
Allergy Hopper.
Allergy Hopper. But he's still gonna break it down like it is, like it should be.
All right, so you know what that means. We're getting ready to talk about a pink elephant in the room. I know if you guys tuned in, you want to talk about the fights that happened yesterday.
Yes.
We are going to talk about those, but real quick, I want everybody's comments that are listening. All four of you, respect you guys. Much love. And everybody listening in on the audio podcast archive as well, and the YouTube. Shout out to you as well. What, why, how are more people not talking about the Mauricio Suleiman madness, just disbanding all the Russian fighters? Who benefits from that? Why now?
Because they're coming over here and beating everybody up. That's why.
Right after the Ramirez Zurdo fight,
they all came over here and put a beat down on my boy Zurdo Ramirez, man. I'd never seen Zurdo fight like that. That dude looked slow, plodding, like he was stuck in mud.
You mean
he made him look very ordinary.
Just keep in mind. See, and this is where the mistake's happening. All right, you're talking about Zurdo, but no one gives it to Bivol. Bivol makes people fight slow, crappy, and like they've never been in the ring for a while. So I'll disagree with that. I think Zurdo definitely, he's a slower guy when it comes to his hand speed, but Bivol really timed him up. He did not let them. He held him back. Every time Zurdo tried to get his right hand activated, that's where he saw the speed of Bivol. Smart, great guy, moves well, big, huge, tough,
great technical boxer.
It is what it is. And
not just that, but because Ramirez was the bigger guy and he was getting punked and pushed around by a smaller Bivol.
And I'm no Bivol fan.
And
it's Bivol fan. I'm just
me either.
Saying it like it is. I'm saying like it is. We got a beast.
Yeah.
On the division that we hope we can see an undisputed match, because it'll be like
it'll
be like the best in the ages. Now they're saying that now our friend that we were talking about and spend the first 30-40 minutes of the show, he has said to everyone that he's not allowing any Russian fighters to fight for the green belt. But I mean, isn't Burner be Russian? Well, he lives in Canada. Okay, but I mean, see what I'm saying? Do you see that they're not going in the between side and just favoritism? And it happens all around in boxing, and that's what really gets us pissed off when you look at things not with a microscope, but just regular glasses, and you see the reality. It's not a virtual reality. It's the freaking reality us fans are living weekend after weekend, which we love it. We got fights. What expense, bro?
Yeah, so to me, that move just screamed like, I'm protecting my guy. So it felt like it's a move to protect Canelo, honestly.
Whoa, we going there, Gringo? Wow. It's going to be that kind of a morning?
It's that kind of a morning.
Is that kind of a morning? Oh, okay, bro.
¡Viva México, cabrones!
Payday, you want payday. I know that. Payday, you want payday. I know that.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the thing. I mean, like, why else? Because who's the fight that's going to happen next? I mean, I would like to fight Bivol versus Berterviev. Beterbiev, however you say it, he still beats your ass. I mean, he's the scary guy. And I apologize if I said it wrong. Please don't kill me. But yeah, I'm saying that's my immediate reaction when Manny said he has a 10-second dream. That's not saying how I necessarily feel, but that was my initial reaction. Like, why are they doing that now? You know, the conflict has been going on.
Yeah.
You know, so is that the reason why? Do you guys, obviously you don't feel that way, but what do you think the reason is why, Hopper?
Well, I mean, they're just pandering, bro. Political pandering. That's what it is. There's a deeper reason. They know the PBC, the Mauricio Salomon. I mean, come on. They're not doing this just because of the conflict, man. They could have done this at any point last year when it started, or it's political pandering, bro. That's what it is. Political pandering to protect their fighters, their champions, their guys, you know, because they don't want they don't want Bivol or anybody, some of these other guys, the Russians guys, they're coming over here beating all the boxers up, even in the UFC, coming over here and beating everybody up, man.
No, that's a good point. That's fair. Let me get to these comments real quick. Then we'll actually move on. This is the topic we've talked about the most in the history of the world. Shout out to us. Puerto Rican rum. Salute to the pedal. That's us.
Salute.
HLD, man, appreciate the comments, brother. Much love. Why would I promote a country with my brand that is casually training versus another country in war? Who has the right mind would do that? It's not fair. Ukrainians are saying Crimea River.
A lot to unravel there.
Yep.
And
very touchy subject because not everyone has the same mentality, right? Just because I'm putting it in my own. If something happens in Puerto Rico is crazy and going crazy around the world just because I'm Puerto Rican, that doesn't mean I'm part of the decision-making process that goes within the government, whatever it is. And that happens with Russia. Some people had to leave Russia because they don't believe in some of those things. Now, if you're a participant in that, if we have seen some of these boxers contribute to the war in attacking others, then that's where you put a stop. On the meantime, you got boxers who are actually defending their country, which is, Ukrainian, Lomachenko, Usyk. It makes it a little bit different. They're not the ones who are hunting. They're being hunted, and so they have the right to defend themselves because it's unfair to that. So you got to be very cautious with that and look at on a way that you can't blame every single one because you're part of, or you were born, or you're actually affiliated in some way, shape, or form as a Russian.
Yeah, definitely. It just seemed like the WBC, man, they had a lot going on, man. It was like hard to keep up.
I think that the spotlight should go on top of me. Yeah.
And Suleiman definitely did that. So let's go ahead and get to it because not a lot of time left to do it. Let's go ahead and talk about the top ranked card. Let's get to it.
Let's go with Montana Love first.
Tank ranks.
Go ahead. Because this is how he was in the ring in that fourth round.
Qué lindo, él dijo resplendor. ¡Ay, mierda!
He was looking for a way out, and he took it. Like he went, we've been doing the drops of my man, Macho Man. He went Macho Man.
Macho Man, bro. He eliminated him from the Royal Rumble.
How great is it in a boxing match where he said he's going over the rope? I was like, that's the drop.
And he stuck the landing. Shout out to Spark. He stayed on his foot, man. Montana Love. That was kind of the excuses they were coming up with. Oh, I didn't lift him up. No, but you did put all your weight on or your forearm on his head over the ropes to cause him to fall out of it, man. He didn't like the way Spark was coming in strong with those power punches. He didn't like the way how he got dropped. He didn't like the way Stevie Spark was
sparking his ass.
I couldn't believe Sergio Mera when they asked Sergio Mera, does Spark have any chance in this fight? No, he doesn't, bro. He has 14 knockouts in 15 fights. He's got power. And in round 2, we found out that Spark was for real when he dropped him. And I think Montana Love kind of, I don't know what got in his head because he was being a little too cute, talking to his corner while fighting. He was feeling himself at home. And then even the ring entrance, it kind of got awkward for a little bit there, like with the band there and him just steady dancing up there for what seemed like forever. Everything about that show was just not usually how DAZN produces it. And then, credit to Spark, man. He went in there, he got the job done. This guy, Montana Love, wanted a way out. I agree with the decision. The ref, he should have disqualified him. It's the right decision. Eddie Hearn was playing damage control, but even he knew it was the right decision. So Montana Love, hometown fight ruined. And now his fight with the what's the guy who fought before him? Hitchens. That fight's pretty much out the window now. So
yeah, and that's the thing. You know, it's rarely that I ever say that anybody, as far as like a promoter, because like they're always going, you know, for themselves, and they usually sometimes slight the fighters. But I did have some empathy for Eddie Hearn from the standpoint of, man, you really had some bad luck on. Why would you think this guy would be somebody worth a headline in their hometown? Clearly,
gave him a show.
Yeah, I mean, for a D+ fighter, like it's pretty much understood. You know, I've been watching boxing for a while. I mean, and I know Eddie Hearn, he's, you know, close to my age. He should know when a guy's not great. Did he really think he was just that marketable?
Maybe he was, you know, he wanted Montana Love. He signed him and everything, promoted him. But he also had Stevie Spark in there. And, you know, he also signed Stevie Spark. And from what I've read, Spark hasn't really been heavily promoted. He's had to take everything the hard route. Now with this win,
you're overshadowed.
Maybe it's not a loss for Eddie Hearn in Matchroom. They just got Stevie Spark. So his name he just became a player in the division. So.
Yeah, that's fair. It wasn't like he was against a top-ranked fighter. So that's
right. It was his own fighter. So yeah, maybe at the end of the day, because even after the fight, you see Eddie Hearn taking pictures with Stevie Spark, and I'm like, oh, okay, so there's a little something there.
Okay, all right, Manny. The thing we love about you, because you wear your emotions on your sleeve so well.
Because
we love the passion, man. It's amazing.
We'll come back to you, slap you when he looks everyone's behind.
So, speaking of that, you've been very vocal about Montana Love not loving him.
Yeah, bro. Why do you hate him so much
from the get-go, man? I think it's more the hate comes out more of some of these promoters who fall in love with some of these boxers, and they try to bring them in a way that they don't belong in that spot yet. And so that's been the case with Montana Love. I've always wanted him to continue to prove me wrong. When you look at the previous fight he fought at T-Mobile Arena against Gabriel Goyas, they gave him that unanimous decision to him. And clearly that was a very close fight. And I think Goyas had actually, have done great to really at least, be at least split decision or maybe even a draw or win the fight. No, but it's Eddie Hearn. It's his fighter. And we want to put him to greatness. We want to get him to where he needs to be at no cost. And when I looked at the card for this fight and this fight was made, I said to myself, we're going to watch the protected kids from Eddie Hearns. And I love Eddie Hearns, man. Eddie Hearns is the only guy that has the cojones to make shit happen. But at times, you got those little babies that you just don't want to let go. Not only him, Raymond Ford. Come on. He's ready for the best 126-pounder. He clearly lost, and I'm being objective, not because the kid is here from Fort Worth, Texas. Shout out to Edward Kid Vasquez. He put a can of whooping to Raymond Ford, but he's the little protected little kid guy that we're going to keep lifting him up. And I say to you, Montana Love, welcome to the big leagues. Welcome to the main event. And look what happened to you. Do you see what I'm saying? Welcome. All that big trash talk you always keep doing, it didn't back it up with nothing else other than embarrass your promoter. Eddie Hearn was embarrassed. He just had to say something immediately when he had the cameras just to kind of back up his little baby. But at the end of the day, he's going to do like Don King. They're both mine. And I'm going to go and Viva Spark or Viva Montana Love. You know what I mean? He's always going to freaking do that. But at the end of the day, I was so happy and excited that this happened. So that way you take those little bubbles away and put them in and just let them grow at their own speed. Don't try to boost their career, bind their career, doing whatever it takes because someone inside the ring had the cojones to say enough is enough. I thought it was going to go a catastrophe. But you know what? He overdid it, and it was so clear enough that you deserve that disqualification. And guess what? Welcome to the main event. It did not look good. And I hope that he has learned his lesson. It's not that I'm going to be a hater. I think that, Montana Love showed a lot of great defense. Spark threw a lot of punches that he never landed, like for almost half of a round. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he got caught. He couldn't overcome that, and he tried to get his way out. And the only way out he did is just trying to do what he had to do. Embarrass himself.
Wow.
So for that,
wow,
I missed to watch my Sinisa Strata because I changed
too.
it. Like,
I missed
back
watching.
again.
I didn't watch Super
Let
back
me go
I was
back
watching
again because I know Sinisa got this in the pocket. I love you, baby. Although you don't know me, but I love you, baby.
Yeah.
But I just enjoy him. When we started texting last night, drop down. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. All right, comiéndose la misma mierda que habló. Vamos a ver, and let me see how he gets out of this, because you know what? I thought that if this incident didn't happen, Montana Love was going to get his decision. The same thing that happened with Christian Tapia, and I'm not saying I'm being objective, not subjective. The same thing happened. Look at those scorecards. If you watch the fight, 97, 92. I mean, he got dropped down in the second round, but clearly Tapia won 5 to 6 rounds easily.
You're talking
the local. Wait, hold on a second. El local, Thomas Matisse, the Cleveland,
fight, right?
He's here. You know what I mean? El local, obviously, we knew what was going to happen. So I'm glad that this qualification came up, because it was going to be a very frustrating fight for the people who think the way I'm thinking right now, because the decision was going to go in favor to Montana Love. It's too freaking obvious.
All right, man. I love when you hate somebody. That is
how you guys doing?
What's up, Bo? He even came by.
Hey, what's up, Bo?
Man, this guy's out of control. But we love the passion. We love the passion. Aaron in the house. Boxing emoji. Boxing emoji in the house. Man, Standing 8 podcast.
Look at that.
Montana Love was the winner of the latest WWE Royal Rumble as a
over the third rope.
Vince McMahon this morning.
He'll be fighting in WrestleMania.
On his face, very proud. Yeah, for real.
And that's the one that matters. Look at that. The judges, it's a despicable, bro.
Man, I didn't really give Montana Love did I give him? I think I gave him 1 round maybe, and then that was it. Stevie Spark, credit to him. That boy he's conditioned. You could tell he wanted. I mean, he was hungry for the win. He wanted it. He didn't fly all the way over there for nothing.
Nope.
No, definitely. Let me go ahead and read this for the audio version of this. So HLD, shout out to you, brother. Can you guys believe the judges had Montana Love winning all 3 cards? Eddie's corruption was working. That's why he was mad.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
He was mad at Montana Love. It's like, I had you taking care of my son, and you messed it up. Glad he did that. Yeah. And by the way, great job, Sparks, too. Didn't trash talk. He kept quiet.
Bro,
he was kind of embarrassed to talk about what they did to him and what he did to Montana Love, which he actually outboxed him for the amount of time there was a fight.
Yes, when they interviewed him in the post-fight interview, Spark was he took the high road. He was being, very no, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. Bro, I couldn't. He's a better man than me. I would have talked so much shit. That's why I whooped you, boy. You had it, man. I would have been all over. He's a much.
I was chalking it in my own.
You're a much better man than me, bro. Because I would not have reacted that way and taken the high road like you did.
No, definitely. So,
how you feeling?
I feel.
Well said. You're the world champ. Shout out to
devastating night also last night for Puerto Rico. 0-4, my God. It was pretty pathetic. 3 fights in the zone. Wow. Yeah, Bradley Olmeda was doing pretty good. 5th round, he just lost a little bit of control, lost the fight against another nice protective guy. Right?
Real quick, brother, these are all the zone card, correct?
Yeah, they're all the zone cards.
They're all the zone.
Christian Tapia, we watched Christian Tapia. I think he did fantastic. Man, this guy's got some freaking courage, bro. And not to take anything away from Matisse, but this was a really good fight. Not a potential fight of the year, but at one point I was like, man, and they really, I don't want to say they robbed them because it's just close, but man, I watched the fight again in at least 95, 94, 94, 94. And you're looking at those widespread cards for the protective individual, and then to finish up the way we did. And that's why I was so happy, Hopper, because of that. But outside of the zone, the biggest loss for Puerto Rico in Santo Domingo, man, and I know you guys have heard me talk to you a little bit about it, Emmanuel El Salcerito Rodriguez. Wow, what a devastating one. That was a big shocking against a Mexicano that had no I mean, he had no record whatsoever. I think he had 8-7 or something like that. I'm glad Hopper didn't watch that one.
I didn't watch it.
No,
I didn't watch
like,
Loma, though.
Who that? Salcerito who? No, but the kid from Quebradilla, man, he is undefeated. He's a great prospect and, you know, doing great things. And last night had an opportunity, you know, with you know, being able to showcase himself. And, you know, I think it was, what was it, Showbox down there in Atlantic City. They had some pretty good cards over there. You know, of course, they're trying to compete against biggest networks. So that's why there's not a lot of marketing into that. But anyway, between the community of Puerto Ricans, there's a lot of love and hate here. So I'm just watching the soap opera now that things turned the other way around, because a lot of people are hating on the little kid. And not only that, the bloggers that are actually commenting and praising them, and now the other people are like, where are they now, right? So anyway, very sad day. But actually, what really turned it around is two things. Number one, Montana Love fiasco, and
what about your other boy, Yomar Alamo?
Yeah, Jomar Alamo. I don't know, man.
Hitchens look good, man. Hitchens look good in that
Hitchens, the speed of his jab, and Jomar Alamo, ever since he suffered that first loss in where he was going to contend for a #1 spot at the WBO 140, you know, he hasn't been the same. And then so you can see now the caliber of opponents that he's been fighting with Telemundo, with you know, in Orlando, Florida, and now being on a big network right now at the DAZN and fighting some very, very good top. Man, Cleveland's got some shit. All of the kids, what, from Brooklyn? Bro. Or is he? I don't know where is he from. But my God, I mean, this is, I said all three Puerto Ricans they fought yesterday were undefeated. They were fighting against undefeated. Very, very tough. And I'm just glad that these guys are being exposed to big networks in where you get people, they have intercontinental champions, they have other kind of titles that ranks them top 5, top 10 in an organization. They're not getting fights. And some of these guys are getting opportunity to go mad and eat on big networks. So congratulations, but very, very short. 0 for 4 last night.
Emotional, damn it.
They'll be back. They'll be back. And we'll be back as well. We'll go ahead and go to final thoughts. Hopper.
Final thoughts. Shout out to, hey, I'm going to keep bringing it up, man, because boxing is doing us no favors. Shout out to the UFC 281 last night for putting on an event. I need to have more TVs in my room because I had to watch the DAZN boxing, the Top Rank boxing. Oh, the main event. We didn't even talk about that one. Jenna Big kind of put me to sleep, man. That's the guy that's supposed to be the next Triple G. Nah, let's stop these comparisons right now. So shout out to the UFC for 281, putting on a hell of an event. And our ugly cousins are getting less ugly by the week.
You know, they're kind of looking good, kind of getting into them. You know what I'm saying? In a weird way. But no, I'm respecting what they do.
Are you from Alabama? Are you what's going on over there, right?
Shout out to Alabama. Jenna Beck self-hype machine got exposed. Damn. HLD is bringing it.
That fight kind of put me to sleep, bro. No lie. I was dozing off like, oh, shit.
No, I was asleep, so I'm not going to even straight up, man. I was out of there. You know what I'm saying? So, Manny, final thoughts, brother.
Oh, my God. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of boxing, a lot of stuff going on. Matter of fact, former champion Machado's back in the 10. Coming up in December, there's a lot of fights. Puerto Rico is really, really bursting up with some giving opportunities of these youngsters. But today, I just really want to congratulate our boy, the only current world champion, Jonathan Bomba Gonzalez. We couldn't break it down after his Japan amazing performance he did against none other than someone that wanted his shot with his Sokichi Iwata. So talks are right now that there could be a unification bout against actually the main event on that night, which is Kenshiro Teraji for the WBC, WBA, and the Ring Magazine combination with the WBO that could give an opportunity to seek for undisputed at the mini flyweight. I'm sorry, the light flyweight hasn't happened in the history of boxing for Puerto Rico, but that's a good opportunity. Only one champion. We're good. Backing you up, Bomba Gonzalez. Congratulations, man. The best is yet to come, and we're going to see a lot more coming up. December 10th, Sander Sage is back. I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on coming back Puerto Rican boxing. We want to break it down soon in the future. We appreciate the love, guys.
Nice. Shout out to Bomba for winning the Tour de France.
And this time it won the Tour de France. Watch the fight. He was having issues at the beginning. He was getting beat, and then he came in and he did not Tour de France.
Great guy.
Right, no, we're big fans of his.
Floyd Mayweather fights tonight.
Yeah, guys. We appreciate you.
Are you buying that pay-per-view?
No,
we're Team Stream over here. So shout out to us for frugalness with our money. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for your time. We appreciate you. Be looking forward to another show. We'll be back. Good, bad.
Go Cowboys.
We'll be ready to talk about it, and we're ready to go.
I wanna go.
Long Live Boxing, they're awesome supporters of our show every Wednesdays. Please, everybody go follow.
EnVivo. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Como siempre, Mari Marrero.
Sean El Gringo Hicksa.
Hopper.
Hey.
Always breaking it down like it is, like it should